Ever wonder how a single thought can literally change the world? Well, today we're going to trace a line from an idea all the way to a king losing his throne. This is the story of how one powerful concept sparked not one, but two world-changing revolutions.
So it all boils down to this one question, right? How can a simple idea actually topple a king? I mean, it sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but it's exactly what happened. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, so our story really kicks off with a completely revolutionary way of thinking. You could say it was the spark that lit the whole world on fire.
And that spark, it has a name: the Enlightenment. Now, this wasn't just some historical period. No, it was a totally new way of looking at the most basic relationship in any society, the one between a government and the people it's supposed to be governing.
Okay, so if the Enlightenment was the spark, what was the fuel? Well, that brings us to the core ideas themselves. This is the stuff that really fed the fire of revolution.
So here they are. Think of these 6 ideas as the revolutionaries' toolkit. What made them so dangerous to the old way of doing things? Well, they just completely blew up the whole idea of a king's divine right to rule. I mean, concepts like natural rights or consent of the governed. They basically argued that power doesn't come from God. It comes from us, the people. That was a huge shift. The idea that a government is only legitimate if you actually agree to be led by it? Wow, that was the blueprint for a whole new kind of world.
And these ideas, they didn't just stay locked up in books. Nope. They hopped across an ocean and became the foundation for a brand new nation. This is where we see the first fire really get lit: America. And you can see it plain as day right here. Just listen to this line from the American Declaration of Independence. Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I mean, come on, that's not just some fancy poetic phrase. It is a direct download from Enlightenment thinking.
Yeah, this is no accident. This is literally consent of the governed in action. It's the philosophical permission slip for a revolution, written down for the entire world to see. The American revolutionaries weren't just fighting, they were putting these brand new ideas to the ultimate test. And guess what? The test worked, and it inspired a lot of people. That fire didn't stay in America. It leaped back across the Atlantic and turned into an absolute wildfire in France.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at how these same core ideas got used in 2 totally different places. Take natural rights. In America, you get life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In France, it's liberty, property, safety, and resistance to oppression. See that? It's the same fundamental principle, but it's tweaked for a different fight. Or how about limited government? For the Americans, it meant building a system of checks and balances from the ground up. For the French, it meant doing something unthinkable: overthrowing an all-powerful king. It just goes to show you how flexible and how incredibly powerful this set of ideas really was.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? In our final section, let's look at the legacy of this idea, that lasting glow that's still with us from these revolutionary fires.
Look, if there's one thing you walk away with today, let it be this. Real, lasting political change, it doesn't start with armies or battles. It starts with a new way of thinking. It starts when a whole bunch of people suddenly believe that a different world is actually possible.
And that really brings us to a final thought for you to chew on when you look at those 6 core ideas again: freedom, natural rights, self-determination. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Which of these ideas matters the most in our world right now? That's something to think about.